Welcome everybody to True Confessions of a Car Guy. It's me, Badgie. Alongside me in studio are John, Gavin, the host, and also our guest for tonight, Tim Mathisen with Fruition. And we're gonna go jump right in. And thank you again for joining us, Tim. Tell us just a little bit about yourself, which company you're with, and also about the car business. And I'll let you guys talk some more.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Badgie.
Yeah, exciting to be here. So, I've known John for somewhere between 32 and 35 years.
Right. I was trying to do the math. It's kindergarten. It's like kindergarten, I think.
Literally, yeah. John's son Ryan and I are best friends. We've been best friends in the same group of best buddies literally since kindergarten. So I've known John forever. We've had a lot of fun memories growing up. Specifically in the car business. It was about 2010. I was in digital marketing. I was doing some stuff with radio advertising. Wasn't necessarily going anywhere. And John was the first guy that kind of gave me an opportunity to join the car business. This is again, over 15 years ago. It was my first real sales job. Like, you're out there, you're selling, you're responsible for your own, closes. And that was back in 2010. And, since then it's turned it into an entire career that I'm really thankful for, and, can't believe how it's turned out. But man, I have so many anecdotes for what I do now. I could share with you. I know John's in South Carolina, where it's not necessarily legal, but I'm in Denver, Colorado, where it's extremely legal. But I've been in the legal cannabis industry for a little bit over 12 years now. Literally the last thing I did before leaving Chicago was selling cars, and it was literally the starting point for everything. That's kind of the quick backstory. I got a ton of other stuff, but John, you know some of that good stuff.
Yeah. So take me back now when you started, because my memory isn't great. I can remember that you started, and I don't remember if Tommy started the same day with you, or did you start and then I moved and then you came with me and Tommy came, or?
I don't think I worked with Tommy ever. I think there was a very brief period where maybe I think he was there.
Well, you remember I sent you both up for a drug test. You remember at the Volkswagen dealer. So
that's just me. I think he was already gone by then. That's still...
Well, he was supposed to be there. So this is what I remember, if it really happened. And we're not going to say his last name, but he knows who he is. But anyhow, so you guys started me. Now I got to wonder, what is it like working for your best friend's dad? Not all. So you got to try not to do anything wrong. You're on your best behavior. And then I knew, Tim was in the weed. He smoked, not into it. He just smoked weed.
Smoked weed.
Yeah, like most kids smoke weed. But so I tell Tim when he walks in his new job, I said, all right, you'll be starting. And, it was great. I knew he was going to do well. I really did. He's so good with people. And same with Tom. You guys are great with people. So I give them each a plastic cup, and me and my buddy George. And I think the Greek from Honda was with me. I think was the close. Remember
there was a couple people. There was Mo. There was a guy, Rocco.
Rocco, that's right. Rocco was there. Rocco was the other manager.
And we give you Jim.
That's what I'm thinking of. Jim. Yeah. It'll come to me in a little while.
Constantine.
Jimmy Constantine was there too. Yeah. So. We give you guys those plastic cups. They just go upstairs to the office. So we need a pee. You need to do a pee test. And you walk up, and Tommy walks up, I'm pretty sure. And 5 minutes, whatever it was later, you both come walking down real slow with cups of pee. And I never saw Tommy again, by the way. Never saw him again. He never came back. That's why you're saying he never worked with you, because he knew he failed.
I was a little young. I was a little naive. I had heard the tales of car stories and car dealerships and pranks and getting guys in trunks and all the fun jokes I had heard. And it was like day 2, which was another sign that I probably should have realized this would have happened before you were hired, idiot. But I go up there. I actually had a point where I was in that bathroom going, all right, well, I guess I can go back to radio advertising. We're definitely going to pull, some THC out of this test here. It's been a fun run. I learned, my first downboard, and I learned a little bit. So I'm sitting up there, and I remember walking out of the bathroom. My first instinct is this doesn't feel right. This just something's off. I take about, if you remember that showroom, goes these stairs that go right
stairs,
the Volkswagen, and man, I get all the way down, and the entire showroom's laughing. I'm like, son of a bitch, I knew it.
That was so great. That was such a good
God, I still tell that story. So that was the best welcome to the car industry you could ever get. I mean, that was like my second selling cars. Anecdotally, like, man, talking about taking the pressure off, you're like, with people that just make it fun out of the gate. So many people just are so stiff at work. And for that to be your second day, it was such a fun, like, easygoing thing. Everybody was just having a good time with it. I was the joke, not ideal. But
well, what's kind of like the difference, because you came from a company that you worked with a bunch of people, et cetera, and you still relate to it. You have a following.
I was doing business. It was more inside sales. And when I came to the dealership, it was my first real, again, inside sales leads were coming in. So I had all these people that were submitting radio advertising, wanted to do also radio advertising. By the way, that's the most, pre-2010 thing of all time. Right. What a different world now. But and that's what I was doing. That was my experience. I was great on phones. I was, understood, a lot of those metrics, but being in front of people, that was like the first aha moment, and really, I remember my other kind of first memories of that were ups. All these guys had reoccurring customers that were coming in and leasing cars. And I was like, hey man, you got no book, you got no customers. You and I, obviously being from the north side, this was a south side dealership. So I knew nobody, you know what I mean? And that was my first real, like, all right, like, you want to close, you want to sell something, it's on you,
Yeah. What was it like? I remember you used to follow that band. You'd always follow this band. I remember. Well, who was it?
Humphreys McGee. We're 20
Humphreys
years
McGee. Humphreys McGee. I thought it was Mumford and Sons, but it was Humphreys McGee. But I do think you turned me on to Mumford and Sons. But or my son did, one of the two. But anyhow, Humphreys McGee. I just remember, and I'm wondering what that was like. You were there, maybe. You worked for me. Maybe this is like because you followed them there many times. How many of the concerts?
Oh, the band. I mean, I've grown up a little bit with a kid and a wife, and
right. But how many shows have you
at that point, I've seen them. I'm embarrassed to say, but not over 200 times. I'm not kidding.
So
it's ties and tie with the weed industry and jam bands. It's
right. So what was it like you coming up to me and going, "Hey, I know, because in the car business you get no vacation. I need off the weekend." What's that like? What were you thinking when you came up to me to ask for that time off? That's what I'm curious.
I remember we were a couple months in. I was, I think looking back, and again, so many lessons I learned that taught me so much. I've hired over 70 people in the last, 10 years, that so much of that is, a lot of the car stuff I look for. But that first couple months, I wasn't great. It's like you're learning how to ride a bike. You're falling, you're losing deals. You probably are missing buying signs. You probably have customers that are ready to go, and you just miss these opportunities. But I had started to kind of gain some momentum, and I was like, all right. So it wasn't just a concert; it was a music festival. It was Chillicothe, Illinois, Summer Camp Music Festival. For those who may know. Big jam band, DJ scene down in Central Illinois, 3-day festival over Labor Day weekend. I know where you're going with this story, John. I remember going,
there's two of them, so I want to make sure.
I know. I remember going, I feel like I got some momentum. And this is, again, 21-year-old, pretty naive Tim going, I think I deserve this. I think I'm entitled after 3 months of selling, however many cars it was. I deserve a weekend. Meanwhile, everyone's there days, weekends, everything, nights. And I remember going up to you being like, hey, man, there's this music festival. I go every year. This big band I follow is going. And I remember just being like, John's cool. He got me this gig. And I remember how that went.
Well, now fast forward maybe 2 years, and you were good. You were a good salesman. You really were.
I got better.
I'm so proud of you. You're good with people. You're one of our top guys then. And I move on somewhere because I've had 49 jobs. As soon as you mess with my pay, I'm gone. So Tim comes with me. Now we're at the new place, and that concert's coming up. So
this is a yearly. So this is a yearly festival. So it's same weekend every single year. So you can mark your calendar on it, right? It's all the same bands that I've been seeing forever in that jam scene. And we're at now a dealership on the North Shore of
BMW. Yes.
Everything's a little more dialed in. Everybody's a little more professional.
Well, wait, let me interrupt you for 1 minute. So for those of you who are not in the car business, we don't get time off. You don't get, you don't, if you take a vacation, the owners are really usually unhappy about it if you're doing a good job, because they're going to miss your deals. So if you missed a day, if you missed a Saturday, back when I started, you might as well have quit, because you're going to get fired. If you call in sick, you better be at a hospital, because you're in trouble. So go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I mean, I remember there was some legitimate times I had to miss for stuff, and it was like, cool. Wednesday, I'll never forget this either. Wednesday was my day off. You know, we worked Saturdays. I think it was at that time like 9 to 5 on a Saturday, which for, again, a 21 to 23-year-old was not ideal. But man, we were making money, so it was kind of the thing to do. So I remember if I ever had to take a Saturday, it was like I was working Wednesday, and then better showed the hell up the following week, and better had some stuff the week before, or else like, what are you doing? So, all right. So this particular story, I am now following John, and I had learned my lesson about Summer Camp Music Festival and not asking for it. So I made the absolute genius decision to. I remember I had a couple managers there, and for those who may stumble upon this, my apologies. I've grown a lot, and I've learned some lessons since then. But I remember going, oh, man, okay, they're going to say no. I need to go to this festival. I don't want to miss this thing. What if I'm hurt? If I'm hurt, they can't. What am I supposed to do? So I had already bought the tickets, hadn't told anybody. Again, what a 21-year-old thing to do. Had bought the tickets. Wednesday, I was taking off Thursday morning, going Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the full thing, right? The multi-day camping festival.
Yep.
And I came in, I got out of my car, hobbling, just absolutely couldn't even walk on my right ankle. I mean, I had a whole thing for it. It was like, man, I can't be here. Every step is pure agony. And, you know, it occurred to me, somewhere between the middle of the day, I didn't remember what foot I had hurt. For those of you listening, quote unquote hurt. And I believe it was John who had remembered, first of all, that number one, it was the weekend of the festival. Number two, that when you got out of the car, it was your right foot hurt and you're limping on your left with a quick wink. Hey man. And
because you went to the concert, you did go, right?
I went. I absolutely
I think I didn't have a problem with it, but just that leading up to you, when I saw you walk away, me and McCormick were looking at you, and I look at him, and I go, he's limping on the other foot right now. He goes, yeah, I knew he was full of shit. I knew it. He said, because he was tight with you back then. You remember? He's a good dude. He's my hunting and fishing partner. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, that's something too, is the little, you know, the clicks up north were very different too. That was a funny thing I remember.
So what are some of the takeaways from the car business that you used into your next business? I mean,
I talk about it a lot, and, you know, to go a little bit more into what I do. So I've worked for a large, you know, cannabis manufacturer. We're a professional industry, believe it or not, highly regulated. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry at this point. And, you know, I always look back, first of all, to you, John, as my absolute mentor. I don't know if I would have gotten into sales. I don't know what I would have done. And, man, I remember you giving me the opportunity and just running with it. And, you know, I always look at you as one of the first people to ever give me a chance and, you know, let me do it. I had nothing on the resume to prove I should do it, but you gave me a chance, and it turned into what I do to this day. I'm you know, selling 24/7 at this point. And I think, you know, the couple of things that come to mind from just those early days and you training me and just some of the interactions, I think about one thing I tell people all the time when they start in sales is make a friend, make a deal. I remember you constantly just being like, make a friend, man. Like, you're good at it. You're good with people. Just don't overcomplicate the process. And I think that's something that has stuck with me to this day. Make a friend, make a deal. I think the work ethic, I think, short of, the festivals and fake ankles once or twice, you're there every day. You're working long hours, multiple days of the week, your nights, you're there for 12 plus hours. If you have a deal on a day off, you're coming in. Saturdays are, no questions asked. You got to be there, but it's your day to make money. And I think that work ethic was something I needed at that time because, I think a lot of people, especially as, the new generations, they're not born with it. And I think they look for easy buttons. And I think it taught me, man, like, if you're not taking ups, if you're not following up, if you're not trying to upsell wherever you could, you're not making money and you're just kind of sitting stagnant. And I think the biggest thing that I had the privilege about 7 years ago, starting a multi-state operation in cannabis. And I was this is many years later after those sales years, but I had an opportunity to become our sales and marketing director for our first, real multi-state company. And the biggest thing I think about in how we created our entire pricing structure was based on service and quality service. And, the dispensaries across the country that we sold to, what separates us from any of the other products, out there, I put our service first and foremost. We hired based on service. And it's one thing that I just remember, the best car dealerships, that's what you get. That's why you're paying more. That's why you're coming back. It's because you remember how you were treated. It's because you remember, that the person who took care of you, it's when you have a problem, you got somebody to call, you got somebody who picks up their phone. So, all those things were instrumental, in just forming who I became as a salesperson. In later years, we had scaled into 5 different states. Cannabis is at this point over 25 states have legal cannabis programs. It's becoming a little bit less, of a stereotype and becoming a little bit more normalized. And one of the things that, I look for with, young kids coming into the industry, whenever I see guys with any car experience on their resume, I give them an interview. It's whether, subconsciously, it might be you who gave me a chance. And I think there's people who deserve chances, but I think the tenaciousness of car salesmen, and again, you've talked about in other episodes, people getting bad raps and, people have used the cliche used car salesman until it's, blue in the face. It's such an old cliche, but you know what that also is tenacious sellers who are going to work for the deal. It's guys who are going to, I love the word hustler. It's like the hustler mentality. If you don't go out and get it, you're not going to last very long in the car industry or in any kind of sales industry. And also the biggest thing I think is when you see guys with car dealerships on their resume, they know how to deal with rejection. They're not terrified of rejection. I think, again, with more and more younger kids coming into the workforce, they're terrified of it. So whenever I see it, I'm like, all right, you've definitely spent 3 hours with somebody, got to the box and they walked out, and you know what that's like. And are you going to call them back? Are you going to have the courage to call them back and try to save the deal? Are you going to go and find another one? Car guys do. And, good ones at least. And I think that's just something, man, I think about a lot.
Well, I remember when you started, I saw, that confidence level in you jump from, the first 3 weeks. And that's kind, getting back to you starting and the whole, Badgie calls it the Gavin treat. Trust me, I've had my duds. One time I was with Lynch and a guy comes in. He looks just like Dennis the Menace, blonde hair parted to the side. He just looks like the typical nice kid. And he says, "Can I get a job?" And I'm going to tell 2 stories. This one first. And I look at the kid, I interview him. I have my buddy Roberto interview him. I have my buddy Rick interview him, Rick O'Hearn interview him, Roberto Perez interview him. And they said, "Yeah, I think this guy's got it." So now this is like a Thursday morning. I hire him. He sells 3 cars by 1 o'clock.
Love
and
it.
I'm like, patting myself on the back. Me and Roberto are high-fiving. And he goes, "Hey, Mr. Gavin, I haven't eaten yet, and I took the bus here. Do you mind if I take a car to lunch?" I'm like, "I've got Michael Jordan rules. If you do those kind of numbers, take whatever you want." So he takes a car. I think it was a Taurus. and goes to lunch. Well, we don't think nothing of it. About 6:30, I get a call from the state trooper who says, hey, we just had one of your cars involved in a robbery. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, this is in southern, like Crestwood. We had a car just involved in a stick-up robbery with your dealer plate. I'm like, what kind of car is it? He tells me. I'm like, well, let me, because I didn't even think about what I gave him. I mean, this kid, I just knew he wasn't either. He was selling cars. He wasn't, you know how chaotic it gets. We're working deals. I said, I don't know. Then I get a call another 45 minutes later. This one's in Maryville. We just had a stick-up robbery at a gas station with one of your cars. This guy robbed 3 gas stations within about 4 hours, and I never saw the car again or him, and I don't know what happened. So,
you're kidding me. I've never heard this. It's amazing.
I'm not kidding. That happened. So that was one of my flops. Now, another one was...
Like, dude, you would have made way more than your stick-ups had you just worked 3 more days.
Like I said, I never saw him again. Everything he gave me was fake. Because now today, like you said, they do background checks, they do drug tests, they do driver's license. We just, you got a pulse? Okay, come on in. You're done. Let me just check, mirror to the face. And if you had a little bit of moxie, you're getting hired. I mean, I got hired because the guy asked me to sell me a pen. But I remember Ron Cronin, rest in peace, grabbed his pen out of his pocket in 1983 and said, here, sell me this pen. Show me you can work. You can sell cars. And I went into a pocket peel, Pro Peel pocket pen. I went into that and he said, it sounded bullshit, but yeah, I think it sounded good. He hired me. But another guy, I can remember getting off at Western Avenue, and a guy was there every day, you know, to sign for money. It's about my size. And he's, you know, I see him every day. And I wasn't at places very long, but there's 3 of them I was there several years, 7 years at a time. And this was one of those places. And finally, I just said to him, I said, why don't you just go get a job? And he said, nobody will hire me. You know, I got a criminal record. I said, well, I want you tomorrow, come to the store. Comes to the store. I talk to him, get him, give him money, get a room, bring back some suits. Cause he's like my height, but he's skinny because he's not eating for shit. So he tailors a few suits. I take care of that. I get it. Back then, everybody got demos. I don't remember if you got a demo at one of the places.
No, I don't think it's standard, but I think you have
not at BMW, but you had a Volkswagen. I think BMW. I don't remember that one, but that was like a weird place to work at that BMW. But anyhow, he ended up being one of my best salesmen. He went on to be now this is 25 years ago, and now he's like I think like one of the top tier managers for the U.S. Post Office.
It's amazing.
And he went from on the street with a sign to, you know, having a major managerial job with the U.S. Post Office. Great guy. So the car business does so much for you. I mean, we're going to bring Frankie back in. So Badgie, if you wouldn't mind, bring Frankie in and yourself. And, you know, there's proof right there that the car business can help you succeed. There's my guy, Frankie and Badgie. They're both doing great in the car business. So tell me a little bit about why you started your own company, from where I mean, I know you were with the same place a long time, and then all of a sudden you started.
I was with the same company for almost 7 years. We were operating in 5 different markets. You know, for me, honestly, I had been building a network in my industry for so long. I mean, Missouri folks, Michigan folks, Illinois folks, obviously Colorado folks. Back in 2016, I was running a California operation, a little bit on the East Coast, you know, through conferences and stuff. And I was like, man, I have the network, I have the knowledge, I have the selling ability. You know, I had done a lot with marketing in the first couple of years, building products and putting pretty comprehensive marketing strategies together. I was like, I think I can do this myself. So, you know, I had grown a little frustrated with, 7 years in. There's a lot of change going on. some things I didn't necessarily love towards the end. And I put, instead of going out and trying to find something, I was like, I'm going to try to do this myself. So I had started, a couple months before I had left, started kind of putting some pieces together, talking to some people in the liquor distribution industry. Believe it or not, cannabis and liquor, very different industries, very different products, very different consumers. But a lot of the distribution is done the exact same way. So really started to educate myself on how, Breakthrough Beverage and Southern Glazers and some of the large, distribution centers of alcohol worked. Started to get with brands in the cannabis space and piecemealed it together all by myself. To this day, I have a couple sellers underneath me, but small team. And really, it was just the confidence to go out and go do it myself better. And here we are. So it's been really successful to this point. It's been really exciting. Entrepreneurship is a scary thing.
Yeah.
There's no salary net. There's no, it's swim. But again, I believe in the sales abilities I have and in the revenue, generation, and also what I'm bringing to customers. So, our clients are really happy, and we're going to keep building that. So it's been really exciting.
Congrats. I'm really proud of you. Your dad, I knew your dad. He passed away a while ago, and he'd be really proud of you too. I got to tell you, he really would be.
Appreciate that, man.
You really have come so far.
Music festivals and fake ankles.
Yeah. I'm so proud to see it. You guys are all, Frankie, you guys used to dress up like Ninja Turtles, and now you're 34, 35 years old. That won't go over big at work, by the way. No problem.
Yeah. No one's saying I don't do it anymore. First and foremost, Tim, I can't wait for this year fantasy.
You're going down.
We're coming for you. You got John Madden in the corner.
There's something a lot of people don't know is, Frank and I went to some rival high schools. One of us was a football powerhouse, the other not so much.
Yes. Yeah, I think one went and stuck a flag in the others and then got an ass whooping.
Yeah, 41-0. I was on that team.
41-0. I think that was an understatement. I'll still take the over. I was going to bring up that story. That was
yeah, I think I remember that game when I was there at that game, and I was like, did they just stick a team that hasn't lost in 2 years and have been downstate? Did they just go stick a flag in their home field?
You want to talk about something more demoralizing than a customer walking out of the box? Was our dumb shamrock flag in the middle of Main South Field?
We were the Chicago flag. You guys, the Chicago card as if we weren't 3 blocks away from the city.
We didn't even have our own stadium. Obviously, after I graduated, they gave me that. I wanted to kind of go into one story, which I think Tim will appreciate. This was at my previous dealer. Now, through the high school I went to, I got drug tested all 4 years. Just never got into it. I don't disagree with it. I personally think it's a wonderful thing sometimes, but I never got into it in my earlier days. And there was a day I walk in, I share an office with 2 other guys. It used to be a finance office, and they turned it into an office for 3 sales guys. And one of my desk partners ends up smoking in the dealership. I think it was oil. It had to be. I can only imagine. And I walk in there and I get secondhand, full blown boom. I'm sheet white. It's 87 degrees outside, but I look like Tito Jackson in Spotlight. So I got to walk out. I walk out to the lot, and the owner obviously smelled it at some point, and I look like a Mortal Kombat character. I'm like, oh my God. Head spinning, sweating bullets. I look guilty. I didn't smoke. I walk back in, and he corners me, and my heart rate is 280. And I'm like, oh boy. And he's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? Yeah, what's going on? He's like, that smell coming from your office. I'm like, yeah, I was actually talking to you about that. I'm a little flush, to say the least. And he's like, yeah, can you pass a drug test? And I'm like, yeah, I'm on St. Pat's. I drug tested all through high school. I'm good. He goes, you sure you can pass a drug test? Yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't. I don't. Now, mind you, this is like 3 weeks ago. I had one little dab of oil at my buddy's bachelor party. This is 3 weeks ago. One dab, nothing. He asked me 2 more times. By the 4th time, it's like when you drive past the cop and you know you didn't do anything, but you're going to jail for the rest of your life. I'm getting pulled over. I just massive drug bust.
Over.
So like fourth time comes around. I'm brand new to this deal. I'm like a week in. So I don't know the guys yet. We're all, camaraderie, like you said, but we don't know. I don't know these guys. I'm the new guy. Plus I'm friends with the GSM, Mike, good friend of ours. So they think I'm the mole already. So fourth time comes around. You sure you could pass a drug test? I'm like, listen, man, now I don't know. I don't know. I might not. I did it once in 8th grade, and he's like, what's wrong with you?
It's so odd too to hear about pot in the car business, because it's not.
Oh my
and
God.
you guys, it really blow. Yeah, everybody, there's coke all the time. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I walked in on somebody, or somebody walked up to me with a donut in his nose, looking at me, dude. I mean, there was one place I worked at by 3 o'clock. The whole place was lit up. So, I mean, everybody running around fast. I mean, it was crazy. We need to close. Yeah. So to hear about weed, I didn't even know guys would smoke weed or do anything that has to do with weed, because to me, it's like to slow you down.
It's kind of counterintuitive. That's what it's become. Truly, it's funny.
Right.
I know.
Go ahead.
I was saying, I know guys that use it as to calm you down. They're going 80 miles an hour, and you, Tim, I think you can attest to it. You can't do that with some customers.
No.
And that's any business. If you're flying through a presentation or flying through some hot buttons, like you mentioned, you miss a opportunity, a hot button, you blow right by it. So a lot of guys that I know actually use it to calm themselves.
Totally.
Really?
And, I've always looked at it. I think my view has changed, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, just as the industry's changed. And I think I still understand, why there's the reputation it does. I still understand it's not for everybody, just like boozing isn't for everybody, and anything that could be a vice, caffeine isn't for everybody. So I get it. And I think that's how it's got to be treated, being in the industry and so immersed with these owner operators and manufacturers and MSO, multi-state operators, we drink the Kool-Aid all day. And I think when I step out of the industry kind of talks and I look at, and I think about, my son one day doing it, how I might respond. And when I have to tell him one day when he finds out what I do, I'm ready for those conversations, and I own it. And I think this industry is getting bigger and more professional. But I think if it helps you, it helps you. If it doesn't, don't do it.
There's a lot of benefits to it. They far outweigh. I don't think there's anybody who's ever been addicted to it or died from it. Right?
You can't. That's for damn sure. You can definitely.
Maybe addicted, I guess.
It could become, a habit,
dependent maybe
type thing. But at the end of the day, I still, I think for me, it's changed my life, not just from a industry and professional standard, but for somebody like me, it was a way to calm down. I mean, my brain was it is nonstop. It's, never ending. So for me, that's how I got into it, was just something to calm down. But
you get fat, but.
So you definitely better
stop
not.
It.
You better not.
You said it, man.
No, like I said, I don't downplay it. Actually, like you said, everybody's got a vice. My wife is essentially a canvas. She used to do tattoo like competitions, her and her artist. And I brought it up to her that way because I vape. I quit smoking years ago, but I still vape. And she hit me with, well, what are you going to do if one of the boys decides he wants to smoke or vape? And I said, well, what are you going to do if one of the boys wants to get a tattoo? And they're not even 18. And we were going kind of back and forth. It's not a bad thing. Like I said, you need to get away from life sometimes, whether it's tattoo, weed. I don't want to over drink. Don't go out and do heroin. Please don't take that. Nobody do heroin. That's bad.
I think I'm a big component of age. I think they have something right with 21. I think 21 is in every recreational state is the age. You can't even enter a dispensary before that. I think that's right. I think they got that right. And I think it's the kind of thing, quite frankly, where they say your brain is still developing until you're 25, especially for
especially males.
Males are later, and I think again, it's responsible use, just like anything else. But for me, I've lost that stigma. So underage, I don't think it's cool. I think it's a bad thing.
Explain to me, because I've never done it. I know I probably smoked weed once, but I'm not a weed guy. When you go to Colorado, can anybody buy weed? Anybody? Like if I came with my South Carolina driver's license?
Yeah, it's the most normal thing here. I mean, it's been around forever. We were the first state to go recreational back in 2013. And when that happened, I think you got to remember there was a deep legacy. So we were, people were growing all through the mountains into Denver, and there was a huge market since the early 2000s. It was just called a different thing and it wasn't regulated. When we regulated in 2013, it is extremely normalized here. It is the kind of thing where you just don't even blink. It has that reputation nationally, I recognize, but it's that kind of thing. And I think, and here's what I kind of equate it to this. It's the kid in high school who drinks a little and then goes to college and isn't so, intimidated by boozing at college versus the kid who's never seen the stuff and goes off the deep end and loses his mind his first year in college. It's kind of like that. And so here, we have pretty much on national average with teen use. It's not, again, it's something I think the industry is very serious about. It's not something we joke about or want those consumers. It's bad for the industry, but our average is about the same because I think those kids grow up knowing it's just like another thing. Like they don't.
Yeah.
So, I think that's important, but yeah, I mean, it's very regular here. It's, California, it's kind of the same deal. I've spent a lot of time doing business there and, it
seems like most blue states it is. Is that
total? Yeah. I think it's just, normalized. And I think what I anticipate is coming for the industry in the next, 10, 20, 30 years. I could talk about legalization and I could talk about what that looks like, but I think it's going to get more and more normalized. And as more younger kids come into it and as younger generations are just used to it, it's going to be a fully open market, system.
I think the gummy and all the ways of distribution, or what would be the word I'm looking for, how you receive it, the different ways that it's available to you now between gummies, smoking it, the what is the thing you use?
Vapes are,
I think all that is just going to blow it all up to where, because older people like gummy. I'm old. Everything hurts. I could see, I think you've even given me stuff for my leg that I put on. It works,
Totally. Topicals.
Topicals. That's it. So I think, that is it's true. As we go in the future, I think it's going to be normal for anybody to be using it. So.
And I think you guys are doing it the right way. When I first started vaping, it was such a anomaly to see. Like if you smoked, you smoked. This is back when you could smoke in restaurants and bars in Chicago. And I remember when that stopped, so you'd have to go out and nobody wants to go smoke in -30 real quick, but you're addicted to it, right? So I truly never wanted to quit smoking. I hate to say it like that. But then when vapes started coming out, then the flavors started coming out, then the ease of buying it. You could get a gas station, you don't have to go to a tobacco store, or you still could. And I remember one of the big cigarette brands, I think Philip Morris, which is Marlboro, they had that big lawsuit with Juul where like, hey, you guys are marketing to kids because you have fruit flavors and you have menthol flavors and they're cheaper than our product and this and the other. Well, for the last 50 years, they've been on packs of cigarettes that, hey, we cause cancer. Hey, this is what your lungs look like. Hey, this is bad for you. And I knew all that.
Right.
By age 5, I knew what each brand my aunts and uncles and cousins smoked. And I'll never forget it. I was at a wedding for my cousin. Another cousin of mine was vaping, and I'm like, hey, don't tell my parents, but I smoke and I want to stop because I can't walk a block and I feel awful. So he pointed me in the direction of a vape store in Chicago in the city. I would drive there once a week, once every couple of weeks, reload or restock, whatever you want to call it. And I haven't looked back since. That was 2013. So 12 years. And I don't crave it.
It just is. It's a more. It's. I'm not going to sit here and be like it's healthier.
Right. Yeah. No, I couldn't do it.
Do they know what's in it yet? Do they have any idea what's in it yet?
This is going back. I'm showing my age here. Yeah, because I grew up when it started, I was friends with guys that like built their own devices and mixed their own juice, and I'm like, I sell cars. I don't have time to be sitting there with a coil. If you would have seen me at my desk fiddling with something, you would have probably thrown a car at me.
Just there, buddy. Well, listen, I want to cut this short, but we've been on 40 minutes, and I really want to thank you, Tim, for coming on, and wish you nothing but, success with your Fruition Supply company. It sounds like you're on the right path, and I'm really proud of you. So thank
Thanks
you
so
for
much.
coming on. Thanks for the stories. And maybe we'll get you on again sometime when think of something else that I know you did.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for the opportunity over 15 years ago to literally change my life, man. A true
I love you, kid. You're a good kid. I love you.
Don't forget, we have we could do the 10-gallon hat story next time.
Yeah.
Don't think I forgot about that.
I know for sure. What I'm seeing a trend here that every guest we have on, we're gonna have them back repeatedly. So we'll definitely have you on. It was very fun to hear the stories, and also the same theme of how giving you an opportunity, and like all of us here, we've all gotten opportunities that John's given us, and that's carried us where it has now. And thank you again for coming on and sharing, and thank you all of you guys for listening out there. We're the new kids on the block, and we're trying to make waves and trying to get our show relevant and out there. So please like, comment, subscribe, and share to everyone. We are on every social media platform, True Confessions of a Car Guy. You can also download it on your favorite podcast hosting site. We're on there as well, too. And with that, we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks again for joining us.
See you guys. Thank
See ya.
you.